Well, Snowball repping Snowball. We do have a Nangongshang, but it is not Snowball. Jia playing Jifang Shang. Is that a penalty pick? I'm not sure.
No, it is not. They've attempted Jifang Shang twice before, and they actually haven't managed to lock out the character.
Ah, okay. Well, that's good for them. We have Mastery of Generating Interaction. It's not the one you like, Titania.
I know.
Fate of Dark Heart. That is a very interesting pick on Xiaobu. Trial of Shura, one of the better ones for Jifang Shang, to be sure. Might make my choice on Snowball. Fate of Sword Pool, so we're going to be seeing a bunch of Sword Pool the Heart Ask. My fate, my choice, and Omen of Ultimate. So, guaranteed UWF for AA. Definitely happy to see that. It is absolutely what you want to do on this character.
I definitely click the button, but it does come with -8 destiny.
True.
They priced it appropriately because they knew that was going to be a popular pick.
Definitely. We have some Wutzer representation here.
Now that the Zhang Jimeng dynasty is at a close.
And the second
I'm wondering if the reason we're seeing Catgirl by Snowball is that their teammate attempted twice to get Mo Yifang locked out. I'm gonna go ahead out on a limb and assume that was maybe their best character.
Right.
And then the second shot, they actually got it. So now that teammate can't play their best character, and maybe their runner-up is no longer a Sword Sect character, so Snowball could get back into Snowball zone.
That makes sense. Because we've definitely seen Snowball play Lin Xiaoyue before. As you can probably deduce, they are a Lin Xiaoyue enthusiast. So I think you might be on something with that. We're interested to see what their teammate queues up then, given they've freed up the 5-element slot.
I would guess they're just going to trade sex now that Mo Yifang is locked out, and that their teammate will play the 5E character. But we'll see. They did also lock out Zhang Jimeng at the same time as Mo Yifang, so there may be a 3-way transposition.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, this is interesting. Fate of Dark Heart on the Xiaobu pick means we've used 8 physique here to gain 2 cultivation. That is... And it's also Elixir Xiaobu, which leads me to think we might be seeing a Force Fist board here. Quick look, so Nangongsheng, Painter, Elixirus, using Plant Master Liu Jianshin's a bit of an interesting one. Fulu Wutze, Fulu Muifang, Elixir Xiaobu, Painter, and Fuluus Nangongsheng. A few interesting picks in there, actually.
So, is the rationale here that you can run elusive footwork if you take a Mark of Dark Heart and get the full value with all the triggers?
Yes.
As well as the cultivation? Okay.
Yes, and then
of course, you can run these like truncates and mountain falling cards as tempo in the mid game.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. It's certainly not impossible to build up from a 16 physique deficit, but the 6 cultivation you gain from it is pretty good. Sorry, not 6. 4 cultivation you gain from it is enough to go first in a lot of boards.
I believe it only triggers twice for Mark of Dark Heart.
Yes, it's 2 twice.
Okay.
So we have Secret Seal. So yeah, Thunder Trib on 2, taking the Fire Spirit Seal. A very, very low 58 Destiny between the Thunder Trib and the Omen. Been running a pretty awkward board using Metal Spirit Seal after Wood Seal to activate a waves. We're done with that, but this board still looks a little bit dicey. I'm interested to see what Plant Master Liu Jianshin is doing here. It's not a pick that I have seen super often.
So I've actually seen this a number of times on ladder.
Okay.
And every time that it was run against me, it ultimately wound up being tunnel visioned towards unrestrained sword.
Okay.
So I think what I saw them leveraging was that the ancient entangling vine is it's a reasonably good card for an unrestrained board, right? The idea is that you consume a slot that doesn't have an unrestrained card on your board, so you can spam as many unrestrained as possible. And it just kind of trades one turn for one turn with your opponent, but it adds effectively 2 attack via the double wound. Very good for spamming your unrestrained.
Our Shabu here has completed their side quest, Mark of Dark Heart, absorbing the full 16 physique. Looks like we're just ditching the physique. Employing their roll-on 2 strategy that we've seen them do in the past to find the copies of Magnanimous Righteousness, Exorcism Elixir, and Exercise Tendons as cards to support your tier 4.
It's also very easy to fit a Space Spiritual Field on an unrestrained board, because you know it's going to kill them before it loops a second time.
We've actually combined the Sword Bamboos the hard way here. One thing I'm noticing is we do not have... I was going to say we don't have very much on the sword, but we now got Sword Intent, so that does lend some credence to the promise of Unrestrained. I noticed we had a locked Giant Quen Spirit Sword, which led me to think maybe we're doing something with defense, but it looks like we're just locking it because it's a good card.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like something we can jam on our board immediately when we break through, but it does give me a little bit of pause, because it's certainly not a card that you can keep around if your intent is to play Unrestrained.
Yeah.
There may be some amount of optionality built into what they're doing, where maybe they flex towards the Dharma line, particularly based on if they see whatever it's called, the Unrestrained Fate on phase 4.
Yeah. Mad Obsession.
Mad Obsession, that's the one.
So our point leaders here are actually occupying 7th and 8th place at the moment, with Snowball on Linshire. It looks like their Sword Intent board has just now come online, so you've seen it once, you've seen it a million times. We pick up the tier 4 in order to augment this board and ride that out till tier 5 when we look to back it up with a Surge. Took additional side job, I'm imagining for cultivation here. But Fuluist is an interesting choice.
I mean, Divine Walk is one of the big contenders for best card in the game, at least of the non-secret cards. I think this feels reasonably comfy for me for Snowball. Like, they have big guarantees that this will turn around in short order. Cat Blast is a hell of a card. But I would be very worried in this Nangong Shen position.
Yeah.
It's not like that they don't have nice things coming up, but they don't have the same level of safety net coming quite as immediately as Snowball does.
I mean, told that Snowball just likes playing Fuluist just kind of as their side job when they're not playing Painter anyway, so you get the best of both worlds if you get to pick it as the additional side job.
It does feel like it should be a comfy side job for cat players, just in their toolkit, right? Because that's the side job that you probably want if you're playing, if you're going to play a Dharma board.
Yeah. So we're seeing something approximating the sort of Xiao Blue board. It is a little bit more complicated to put together when you don't have your tier 3 to leverage a free chi card, but the blue cards in the sector are not real cards, so you can certainly get away with it.
Or perhaps they're too real.
They might be too real. Even though we took double cultivation, we are still slower than Snowball here.
Well, is Snowball running any normal attacks behind the Cat Blast? No, Snowball doesn't have the Cat Blast. here.
No, we're still doing it the hard way, but the hard way is more than good enough.
That's the last turn of the hard way, though.
Well, speaking of doing it the hard way, Double A has been saving their rolls. They've spent almost no rolls thus far. So, have to imagine they're going to be looking to spend that on 4, given they've got the UWF guaranteed on 5 and are sitting at an extremely precarious life total.
Yeah, it feels like they just have to come up with a Heartfire, basically, now, to turn this around, right? Maybe there are some other hits that could do it, but Heartfire feels like the most immediate of all the tempo draws to me.
Haven't managed to draw an ideal seal yet. We're backing this board, though, by the looks of it. We're sitting on these 16 rolls saying, yeah, we'll beat this with 16 rolls.
Very optimistic. Gosh.
Do you hear?
I'd be hunting for the panic button.
You've got maybe one more round. You have one more round until the late stages of the game. Dia here putting their board together. Pretty classic. X's and Lexes, your truncates, your magnanimous righteousness. Got a pretty big amount of physique to gain, but it's certainly not impossible. Though I don't think this Xiaobu gives them a lot of time.
They have the winning formula for gaining a lot of physique. Play one physique card at a board that does no damage at all.
Well, it does do slightly better than 5 a turn now, which, you know, that's something. Interesting, this first truncate doesn't actually... Oh no, of course it does, because we gained the debuffs. Yeah, never mind. I know how this game works. The bigger problem with the truncate is that we are almost dead. This exercise bones actually gains a fair bit of physique for this Xiaobu. Fully maxed is actually a pretty substantial amount of physique in total.
Yeah, it's one of 2 cards for the sect that can scale up how much physique it gains as you upgrade it. The other being Exercise Soul.
Alright, narrow loss for Double A. We are out of time here. This is the moment. No, you have to win this fight, and you are up against Snowball, who is gonna present you a very concise problem for you to solve.
Yeah, let's see. It's not like we have access to a Snow Lotus here for AA, so
looks like we're trying to
Iron Bone through it. That looks like the call here.
Yeah, a combination of Cliff and Ironbone to soak up some of the Flying Fang and then the multi-hit. The board does a lot of damage though. Ironbone often is not quite enough.
I would love to know what the fate options were other than Thunder Tribulation for AA.
We can find out. We can have a look.
Because I think the last tournament we watched, we saw an emergent metagame where players were very protective of their destiny and very happy to take Recuperate just to mise 1 to 2 places higher. And, you know, taking Thunder Trib on 2 is very much the opposite of that game plan.
Well, it doesn't work out for Double A. Not what that team wanted. Losing to Snowball there as the kind of extra kicker.
That was Team Momo.
That was Team Shockwave. The team in second place, though maybe not after this game anymore.
Likely not, yeah.
Ooh, we have an Emptiness Sword formation on the board. So if the first treasure has been spotted, so we're just using it as a source of a little bit of extra damage to get over Dia's board. I like the Stick's agility into Truncate to guarantee the attack down on first cycle, though it doesn't quite look like what we wanted. Ooh.
Yeah, that's the sort of tech you use against the multi-hit boards and not the Spirit Swords.
A calm incantation there, kind of taking the fangs out of Wurzel's board here. Interesting. So, AA actually took Thunder Trigger over the more conservative Tool Governor pick. Really valuing that extra speed.
I know when the game came out, and for a while afterwards, people were very enthusiastic to go Thunder Driven there. But I think the shift has definitely been towards, Thunder Trip is a reasonable fate at higher tiers, where 14 Destiny buys you a larger number of cards on the margin. But it's one extra card for 14 Destiny is a pretty steep price to pay. That's not even what the single player mode charges you.
放松，帮你收听经脉。
It is a lot of Destiny to pay on an early round, especially when you have so little information about what the texture of the game is going to look like. When you're picking it on tier 5, you kind of know what you're signing up for, but in that situation, AA, they drew Water Seal, they drew Fire Seal, was it Water Seal? Just not really finding the support that they needed from their innate fates just makes it so hard for that to convert into a win. Rough stuff, especially with the locked UWF. Gonna stay locked forever.
As I said when he locked it, it costs 8 Destiny. It is steep. The drawback there is real.
Well, the lack of Wood Seal hurting us here too. Not able to keep up with the attack down from DR's Truncate spam.
The other Nangong board played by AA was if you just slapped the Wood Seal on it, it didn't really fix the problem. Now, much of that may have been because they didn't have the Wood Seal, they didn't play in that direction.
Yeah.
But this other child board that we're seeing, if you just throw a Wood Seal in front, oh my gosh, it makes a world of difference.
Absolutely. Well, DR actually managed to hit that physique target thanks to this bearing the load on their board over the last couple of turns. Played, 20 times total, giving us a nice, healthy physique cushion.
And they even spiked a Sure Roar immediately, which is probably the most important card if you want to play late game debuff boards.
So DR has completed the trial of Shura, so they've actually got that one guaranteed. Well, quote unquote guaranteed. It was the first gold card that they drew. I guess sometimes you just don't draw
level 2 one.
No, we've got to complete the trial again.
Sure, but they'll do that, and the level 2 one is nice just so you could run more cheap cards. But
it's actually interesting how this board plays a little bit. The Demon Breaking Palm does a pretty good job of removing your debuff. Sometimes you don't get up to 8 before the fight ends, or you loop back to Demon Breaking Palms and cleanse it. But I'm sure we'll get there.
慢慢来。
I do notice that they skipped memory, which I'm sure felt good at the time. It always does, but once you start to make it this far into the game, you do start to remember that Memory Fragment has tax sentence. It's pretty nice for actually winning.
Definitely true. It is certainly the fate we've seen these G functions skip the most. And it is, I think, his most skippable fate, but like you said, once you get to this point in the game, it is really nice to have Memory Fragment in your back pocket ready to go. Especially with the Trial of Shura. Especially with the Trial of Shura, so you know that you have a little bit more into a board that's running a bunch of Soul Cleavings and stuff, but maybe once you get that far, things are just good enough anyways.
Despite what I just said, I do agree that it is a skippable fate. Like I said, it's it feels good to skip it at the time. It's definitely an investment in the later to take it.
Well, despite not having it locked, we have UWF for this Nangong Shang. Xiaobu settling into the classic Overwhelming Force board. No elusive footwork though, which is kind of the big payoff for the Mark of Darkheart. We're just using it as a bunch of regen at the moment with Exorcism Elixir, which is amusing. Your run-of-the-mill Mui Fang Spirit Sword board full of blue and purple cards. No Sword Intense Surge yet for Snowball, but seeing the Fulu pick up pick payoff with this Disturbing Fulu, allowing us to potentially floor the Spirit Cat Chaos Sword. Liu Jianshin here is indeed unrestrained, Emptiness Sword Formation unrestrained, the textbook classic. And looks like, ooh, we have, well, I haven't actually seen this word in quite some time. The Tier 5 Divination Act Underhanded Wuzi, the Scourge of Seasons Past. Not looking inspiring at the moment, though.
It is missing the HHHs, and they've only found a single drag moon. So,
yeah.
All the pieces are there, and they have 74 destiny. They just have to find, you know, the archetypal card, and I think they're pretty good to go.
I am always a big fan of the give chi then take it away combination. You have to pay respects to that.
Well, if you think about it, it just makes more sense than the other order, right? Like,
that is true.
Take away chi they don't have and then give it to them.
That's true. That is a good point. I feel like the extremely suspicious lines. I mean, by far, most of the time, it is just a play of necessity. Like, this Wuzi just doesn't have other cards that really do anything, but it really does not do very much against the late game G function boards. The internal injury does not really get high enough for it to be super threatening. Well, Yudo of Nangongsheng taking down Unrestrained.
Oh, it was unrestrained. I thought we might see something other once they hit the treasure and they had the giant Clem Spirit Sword.
No, we were briefly Emptiness Sword Formation unrestrained, but now we are just classic unrestrained.
Alright.
So Force Twist Shovel, we found the elusive footwork, which makes this whole engine work much more smoothly. We do now have the Sword Intent Surge for Snowballs. So they've got pretty much everything they could ever ask for. The upgraded Bull Sky with the Chainsword, Finishing Touch as well, so that's all coming together quite nicely.
You are a much less demanding person than I. I could ask for a Divine Walkthrough.
Wuzi has found Hunter Hunting Hunter, but still just very low card quality. We actually took Best Choice, which is one of the more significant buffs from her kit, going from taking 6 exchanges to taking 0. I remember there was a point where we were asking the question, would this even be good if it didn't take the exchanges? And now we live in that world, and I feel like I still don't see people picking it. But certainly a much easier pill to swallow.
While I don't enjoy the trend of just put one cultivation on every underwhelming fate, I have actually enjoyed the power level of Rest and Outwit right now, where it's, you know, not necessarily on automatic take, but it's a reasonable default backup, and people play it and people use it, and it leads to interesting boards that you just wouldn't be able to see on other characters.
That's fair. I think this Soul Requiem Fili was aimed at the previous board that didn't have an elusive footwork on it, but it looks a lot worse into elusive footwork. You can't really G-deny this card if it's being backed up by internal injury.
Definitely not.
Here we have Entangling Attack down into UWF, which is close, though we still had a rebirth in our back pocket, so not as close as it looks. Snowball continuing to rack up wins. So Snowball actually has tier 5 Store Chi, which is why we are playing Cheaper Fusion Inspiration Sword as our sword intent provider. We sort of juiced up a Form Intention Sword.
Ooh.
The Destiny of the Lobby flattening out a little bit here. Xiaobu is still with her cheat death to spare. Snowball is not a Cat Soul Bless enjoyer, so this 33 is legitimately representing about 2 fights. We have
remember that Snowball was at roughly that Destiny total before they got their Cat Blast, and then they've mostly flatlined since then. So it really has stabilized them nicely.
Very much so. This is an unrestrained sword board. Chainsword and Rule Sky just doing a lot of work here. Probably like to make...
unrestrained board that really wishes it had unrestrained cards.
I don't know if we upgraded this manually or if we just had a Dow Fruit land on it.
It does seem plausible that if you only had 2 2s, you'd keep them separate here, but also the Reflexive Sword into the Mirror Flower is, you know, it's 2 cards you can put in those remaining slots that do something.
Absolutely. So, our Nangongshin's board here is looking pretty slick. We have the upgraded, we have the Max Fragrant, level 2 Thorn, our Wood Spirit Seal. Up against a Wurzer board that looked a bit underwhelming. I mean, maybe Soul Requiem Fulu can do some work. I don't love the escape plan, but I guess you need a post-action card to just play with your HHH. The guard up here being pretty badly wasted against Explosion. He's resting Outwit. I think this Wurzer gets bailed out by the fact that Child has so much less HP thanks to the tier 4.
I mean, that Wurzer is really being carried by the fact that they made it to tier 5 with over 70 Destiny.
Yes.
I don't think they've won a fight since.
The Soul Requiem Fury just not quite getting the job done. This looks like not a... well... that, not enough cheek and upplay card was a saving grace for because it meant the Reflexive Sword defense did not carry over to the Cleanse Spirit Sword turn. If we had enough cheek good play card, that fight would look quite different, but as it is, Duya gets to maintain their destiny. We have Wurzer and Liu Jianxian both on Death's Door fighting it out here for who will get the honor of above 6th place. We have...
yeah, but what should have everyone concerned is Snowball is 1 Destiny from the top of the lobby. If Snowball gets a 1st place here, I think the tournament might be decided.
It would be...
and then everyone is just fighting for 2nd place from there.
It would be very, very hard to... I mean, I don't even know if it would be possible, because it depends on who comes in 2nd at that point, if it's still sort of doable. But, I mean, their board looks great. You know, we have Divine Walk Fulu into Finishing Touch, into our turn 4 Spirit Cat Chaos backed with Rule Skies. It looks pretty good.
It's amazing, and the tech cards that they're holding in hand to keep the Cat Blast at 6 hits are very, like, they're all impactful for different matchups.
Yeah. Looks
you
like
the SI Surge when you need to go over the top. You have a Cheat Denial card. It just looks so good for Snowball.
It looks like Snowball's making the call here that they're not going to be able to kill on the first Spirit Cat Chaos Sword, so they're charging up the Inspiration Sword for 2nd cycle. It requires a lot of foresight to make this call that you need to go off, not on turn 3, but on turn 6. That said, Dia's board I think got a lot more aggressive this turn, so we'll see if that works
but when
out.
you have the Rule Sky maxed via Finishing Touch, you're making a ton of defense on this board, so Snowball maybe just has the time to
That's true. The upgrade does go very far to making sure you get to that turn 6.
It's like what this Chainsword is there, 26 block. Pretty amazing.
Alright, well unless Dia can find 74 damage, not quite there. Oh, Snowball living up to their name, taking a big chunk of destiny out of Dia.
They're living up to their name because they're playing Cat Girl, or because
Yeah, exactly. Their namesake,
because
maybe.
The lead is, also because the lead is snowballing.
True. That's how I meant it. I meant it to be a true in 2 ways. Alright, so Child loses to... I actually think they lost to the ghost of the Liu Jianshin. Yeah, so they lose to the unrestrained ghost sniping them with Entangling Line, which is a pretty sad way to go.
It's very much what I called from round 2 or 3 when we saw the Planet Master pick, right? That
yeah,
fit a Space Spiritual Field on the back easily, the Entangling Vine just once for one very nicely when it gives 2 attack up.
Yeah, so there's 2 people in this lobby whose position I quite like. One is the Xiaobu, and the other is Snowball. Snowball has a obscenely powerful board, and both of these players can give a fight. Everybody else is going to be eliminated as soon as they lose. So this is an elimination round here. This is an elimination round for Duya if Duya loses. And then everybody else is going to make it through to the next round.
I just want to confirm that's because Xiaobu has her cheat death, Boy Yifeng does not. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay.
It was a very cheeky Soul Requiem failure. We denied the Rule Sky formation and the Ancient Vine. Oh, my speed is way too high.
Yeah.
Xin chao, xin chao. So that is the end of Mui Fang. This is a real nail biter. Just barely goes the way of Duya. So now Xiaobu has lost their cheat death. So now we have 3 people facing elimination. And Snowball.
And Snowball, whose team was already far in the lead.
Alright, looking at these boards here, I was briefly a fan of Crash Fest boards, and now I'm less so. We are hitting a lot of the upgrades that matter. Notably, without Physique, we can't play crane footwork, which does make it a little bit harder to hit agility thresholds. I don't know if this board does enough damage to not just, like, yeah, die to this.
Even if it doesn't, Snowball has a fight to give, and Snowball, upon seeing this board, will surely realize elusive footwork has been cut. And so in a rematch, now the cheat denial with Soul Calibur Fulu is actually pretty alive.
It's just very hard to chunk through this much defense. The Crash Fest boards, once they do get upgraded though, they have the stopping power. I just don't know if this is quite there. We only have the level 1 Gather Intense Force, but we do have the maxed Inch Force and Shocked. So it is a very, very hard hit. This looks like a complicated matchup here. Soul Cleaving is usually pretty good against Unrestrained. What's very funny here is I think we're playing a Bearing the Load, but our opponent is also vining us, I think. So we're definitely getting some amount of entangle happening here. There we go. We have 5 stacks of entangle on ourselves now. Well, we reduced it to 3. Unfortunately, that's still not going to be enough for these exercise souls to chase. That is a pile of wounds that DR is inflicted with here.
Yes, it is. Is this RKP gonna get there before the wounds really...
Just barely.
Much chance?
You know, it turns out this board does have enough stopping power to deal with Rule Skies. Exciting. That was not what I wanted to have happen when I pushed that button. Okay, so...
Alright, so... The... Jifang Sheng is the ghost matchup for whom?
Is the ghost matchup for the Xiaobu, and they are fighting Snowball. For real.
Okay,
so,
got it.
Dia here hits the 100 physique threshold. So the Wanchuan Palms and... actually, do they? 90, 94, 98? Yeah, they do. They hit 100 physique. So they will have 5 debuffs cleanse with Wanchuan Palms and the extra hit with Realm Killing Palms. Looks like we're going for a very, very aggressive line here of Styx Agility into Wanchuan Palms for only 2 attack down. Exercise Soul into Arc AP? That is a...
I believe Snowball's last played board was using the same trick where it plans to Cat Blast on 3 and then Inspiration on 4 and loop back to a second Cat Blast. I believe that's the previous board they played.
Right.
So this maybe lines up well into that.
Yeah,
So
it looks like...
Snowball has many options about how to flip that around.
Yes. So, while that was the case, now they're playing a board that is a very, very quick Dharma kill here. Which, if the Garda Blitzer had come down on time, would have worked out, but as it stands, not the case. And this board is pretty heavily teched against Snowball, so yeah, not enough against Xiaobu. So it's Xiaobu and Snowball fighting for first place. Good news for Team Snowball for the Silk Sword.
No kidding.
So Snowball went very far in on that last hand. They've kicked their Cat Blast. They are just a Dharma board now. Which is pretty...
That's pretty reasonable, honestly. These force boards, unless they can ice guard you, tend to have difficulty producing any other kind of defensive tech card, right?
Yeah, for sure. So we're just using the Cloud Dance Rhythm. This is a turn 3 Dharma with a 4 Sword Intent Flying Shade Sword as its damage source. That will deal all of its damage before Xiaobu takes a turn, before Xiaobu plays an offensive card at the moment. But it looks like we're both entering the realm of normal attacks here to try to outgame each other. Xiaobu can go faster if they kick one of these cards. It's a pretty gutsy play to go down to 3 normals though. Alright, we're taking the coin flip. Lose the coin flip. So I think this board does not get there then.
I'm not sure if it gets there even with the coin flip going the other way.
Yeah.
I suppose you do manage to block some.
Oh, you know,
So actually,
the little bit of defense and healing on Vast Universe and Gathering Intense Force is enough. That was not how I was expecting that last one to go at all. That was a very wild last round.
no kidding.